Afternoon, how's it going? We are back for more rest-based training. Always good to do this class. Got two 10-minute circuits where you put in your best effort 1 minute at a time for each exercise. It's called rest-based training because that's what I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on when you need to have a little rest. And that's it. And you manage your rest times. And I give you loads of options for you to fix up whatever exercise it is that we do so it suits you and what you've got going on and what you've turned up with today. So, we've got a little bit of kit, but I'm going to try and make it so that you can do this at home if you've only got a tin of beans or something. I've got a 12 kilogram kettlebell for me. You probably won't need one quite as heavy as this. It's quite heavy for what we're doing. I'll go through the exercise in a minute. If you don't have a kettlebell, then you can use dumbbell like this. I brought a pair of dumbbells this time so I can show you how it can help with your wrists if you need to use them as parallettes, as little like press up things so that you can learn how to stack your wrists on top of each other. I'm still early yet, so let's talk about this. If you do use the dumbbells as a parallette, as like something you can put on the floor for when we do like plank style stuff like press ups, the mobility of your thumb is important. So if you can get hold of the root of your thumb, pull it down like this, and can you almost see this shelf across here? And that means that I can stack my wrist up like this, so that when I grab it like that, and I'm in plank, and I'm over the top of it like this, I'm not bending my wrist like this, so it puts pressure like this. And not that this shape is wrong, by the way. If you can get this shape and it feels okay, it's okay. But if you're using them as parallettes because your wrists don't like going into extension this way, then we can fix it up a bit by using them as parallettes. Hi Natasha, how's it going? Hi Naz. So, let's go through our exercises that we're going to do today. We're going to go for a ground to overhead. So with the kettlebell, it looks like this. I kiss the floor with this kettlebell. See how I'm in a bit of a squat? Look at my back as I do this. My back stays straight, my bum goes back behind my heels, my toes push down. That is your starting position, and it isn't like this. So if you've got like a rounded back and you've used your spine to reach the floor, that isn't the one. Flat back like this, and we try and punch this up. I like doing this with bottoms up kettlebell, which means it doesn't go onto the back of my arm. So it goes down like this, and I punch it up like that, and punch it back down again. We're going for a minute on each arm, like that. And it's the same deal if you've got your dumbbell or your tin of beans or your bottle of water, whatever you've got, you sit into this, and fire it up. And fire it up. I say fire it up because it's a big effort movement that your hips drive to make that kettlebell or that weight shift. If you don't have any weight at all, or you're not quite ready for chucking that weight up overhead, you can swap that for just squats, and that'll be fine. You just sit into your squat, push your arms forwards, keep your toes pressed down, that is it. 1 minute on each arm with that one. So do a minute on one arm, a minute on the other, and then we're going to go into, just going to get that out of the way, we're going to go into alternate lunges, where you step forwards, drop this knee and spring back. Step forwards, drop this knee and spring back. If you've got knees that don't like doing lunges, then you can try it like this, where you take a step back, and take a step back, and you barely even drop. If your knees don't like it, that's cool with me. But if you can, then you're doing front lunges, where you take a step forwards and spring back. Take a step forwards and spring back. I like that spring, that little bit of push to get you moving. And then we're going into our ab exercise. So we're going sitting down, and you can use your dumbbell or your kettlebell or whatever you've got to touch the floor either side of your hips with your feet in the air. If you do this without a weight, that's cool. You can look like this. If you can't do it with your feet up in the air, then your heels can touch the floor, and you can touch the floor either side and do like this. If that doesn't work for you at all, then you can change it to whatever ab exercise you like. So you could go for sitting back a little bit and doing these rotations like this with your arms across your chest. I'll go through loads of options as we get into it. I think we are ready to get this timer going. Bear with me. Go for 10. Set, go. Let's get some volume. There we go. Right. So 3 seconds of going for ground to overhead with this kettlebell. So kettlebell touches the floor, we fire it up. Kettlebell touches the floor, fire it up. It's a whole minute on each arm. See how I go down, kind of slow, and then fire it up, and I use momentum, and I'm kind of dragging this kettlebell up my body, punch it up. So if you look at this sideways look, sitting down, punch, and my back stays nice and flat. And this weight kind of goes in between my heels, and I reach this other arm back because I feel like it gives me stability here to be able to punch up. If you can't do this bottoms up, which means the bottom of the kettlebell goes up, you can get it into rack and up. The important thing about getting it into rack and up like this is the kettlebell stays this way up as you punch up, like that. So let's go through that with our other arm. So we're swapping arms. So I'll show you how to get it into rack. Let's move back a bit. So my bum goes back, kettlebell stays that way, it punches up. Here, so my fist is under my chin, and I punch it up. And it can still look like that snatch style, where I just fire it up, like that. Fire it up. Remember, you could be using your dumbbell, tin of beans. If you've got a kettlebell, doing this bottoms up style, like this, works for me. So I'll show you sideways on, look. My back stays flat here, doesn't reach down. I drop my hips and I fire my hips forwards to get this kettlebell to shift. 10 seconds, come on. There we go. And then we're into these alternating lunges. So, if you want, you can weight these up. So we could hold on to this kettlebell on our side, in rack, whatever you want. So it would look like you've got your fist under your chin, and you can swap arms whenever you want, or you can keep it here, or you could hold it in goblet, which is like this, or like this, like this. But I like going for kettlebell rack, like that is my strongest place to keep this kettlebell. And we're springing back. See how this heel on this front leg pushes back and springs back. That's it. And then we're into these Russian twists. Remember, this is rest-based training, so that means when you burn out, you get a little rest. So feet up in front of you, getting your chest to turn. A little rest when you need. Oh, that tires me out. I find them really hard, even with a light weight of 5 kilograms. And I'm strong, but this, if I do this well, with no free fall, so it means I don't like drag it up and drop it, drag it up and drop it. I'm in control of this, but it takes its toll on me. And remember, if you've got stuff going on in your lower back, any kind of injuries at all, we look after them, we change it to make it suit you. So this is my slightly easier option, like that. Okay, go back to ground to overhead, getting this kettlebell. I like to swap which arm I go with first, because my legs get tired punching this up. I like bottoms up kettlebell because it challenges my grip. Let me just move this up a little bit so you can see what happens when I pick it up overhead. So bottoms up, like that, challenges my grip. If my grip gives up, then I can't balance this kettlebell up like this. Notice how I'm showing you that on my right hand. Left hand is not as good at it. 15 seconds. And the stability from here is key, so you don't start bending through your back and making your back make all of that work happen. I'm always concentrating on what this does, this stability here, as I punch up, punch up. Remember, you can get into this rack position. The important thing with getting it to rack on the back of your forearm is the kettlebell stays this way up. Look. So as I punch up, so it doesn't wrap around and hit me on the forearm. It's never going to do a big bang on there because my arm spins around and catches it there. 15 seconds. Come on, shoulders. It's the same deal, remember, if you're going to do this with a dumbbell, tin of beans, whatever you've got. And then we're into these lunges. So spring back and spring back. You can work out how to best look after your knees doing this. So like I say, if you do, let me just put this down so I can show you. If you do the back lunge, if your knees don't like dropping to here, if it hurts, if it touches a nerve, don't do it. Make it a bit easier and work out how to make your hips pop forwards, like this, or make your hips pop back, and I'm still loading up through these thighs. Either way, whatever way you choose to hold your weight, it's the way that you can hold on to it best and keep this structure a structure, so you don't do a lunge like this and fall forwards. Okay, into these Russian twists. You know, if an exercise has a country in it, Eastern European countries especially, you know those exercises are going to be hard. Russian twist is no exception. I find these so tough. Rest. And you've got to work with what you've turned up with. So if you see someone and they're like turning right round, and they're touching that kettlebell almost behind them, and you're like, I can't do that. I'm not there yet. You're not there yet. You will get there if you keep practicing and do good mobility for your spine, and thoracic spine especially, and you call strength at being able to get into these slightly twisted positions. There we go. We're back up on our feet, ground to overhead. So work out which way this works best for you. I like this bottoms up way. It holds you to a speed, because I can't very well hold this up here and do a strict shoulder press in bottoms up, because my grip gets challenged so much. It means that I practice that grip and I just use the momentum of punching down and punching up, but making sure that I hinge here and I know how to keep my torso flat. And I understand how my abs work. And it's coming from my hips that gets this momentum to go up. So if I don't use my hips and I do this, I can't curl that up. Not with bottoms up, especially swapping arms. It's just too hard. So it's got to come from the hips that get this kettlebell to go weightless as I come up. This elbow rises. And we're practicing that grip. So even if you've got a light dumbbell or a tin of beans, you practice getting your grip to squeeze while you get your stuff to perform. So keep working this out. Come on, left arm. That was a rubbish one. go into rack. So see how it comes down into rack, and back down, up into rack, and back up. There we go. That is time. Oh, I'm a little bit sweaty. Good getting those abs tired. That's what we're here for. Time for the glasses to come off because they're only going to fall off my face anyway. Right, let's go through these next exercises. Let's do what we did last week, because I really like this exercise. We're doing a kettlebell sumo deadlift. So, you have your feet a little bit wider than your squat width. I want you to tense your bum with this kettlebell right in between your heels. I want you to, imagine like you've got the kettlebell in your hands now, and bend the bar, pull your chest forwards, make this on, so you can't get pulled down. Drop your hips, and pull this kettlebell apart as you drop between your heels and tense your bum. So have a look at my back, your hips go back and hips drive through. So we can do this like a sumo squat if you stay really upright, like this. I really like that exercise a lot, but I want this to be a deadlift, so there's got to be some hip hinge. So you drop that kettlebell as hips go back and you drive hips forwards, and my arms stay straight and I'm trying to rip that kettlebell apart like that. So going for 1 whole minute of that. After you've done that, it's a whole minute of jump squats, which is going to be killer. You won't be able to do it. Your legs, your bum and everything will be tired. Going hands forwards, drive those hips through and see if you can get this soft landing every time you land. Then we're into press ups. I did say I was going to show you how to use dumbbells as parallettes. You need to make sure those dumbbells aren't likely to just spread out and roll out from underneath you. So if they've got an edge, like these ones do, find that edge and see if you can make it sturdy. And again, you need to irradiate into this, so you squeeze those handles and make your wrists a structure. So you've got a straight line from the forearm to the back of your hand, so you're not on it with your wrists bent like this. You're trying to keep your belly button up as you drop chest down like this. If you're doing it on your knees, which is allowed, you're dropping your thighs down and pushing back up. I like these press-ups to be like this, where your elbows almost touch your ribs on the way down. So I say almost touch your ribs, you're more like an arrow shape, like this, as opposed to a T shape, like this when you're pushing. Not that this is wrong, but the risk is higher, I think, on damaging stuff in your shoulders. I want to try and strengthen your triceps as best we can. And then our last exercise is lying down on your back, and we're going to go for leg kicks. So one leg, both legs up like this, hands down, do a crunch, drop one leg, drop the other leg, drop one leg, drop the other leg. You've always got one leg up, like this. The key with that exercise is you're doing a crunch like this and you're driving your elbows down into the floor to create this tension here. Right, let's get into it. Let's get this timer started. So we're starting with deadlifts. Remember, your deadlift can be with a light dumbbell like this. You can mime your way through this by dropping it down and tense your bum. Whatever happens though, I want to see a tight upper body. I want to know that your torso is on and part of it, so you're not just kind of hanging and letting this kettlebell hang and you kind of drop it down like this, look, because that isn't it. I want you to tune in to what is going on. Drive those big toes down, push the outside of your feet down, rip that kettlebell apart, drop your hips back, tense your bum, stand up. Drop the hips back, tense your bum, stand up. And see if you can almost feel your hamstrings pull you down, kiss the kettlebell on the floor, drive hips forwards, tense your bum on tight, dropping down, back up, down, and back up. Those knees push out. You keep ripping that handle apart, like you're tearing that handle apart. Drop your hips, stand back up. Cool. And then, whole minute of jump squats. If you don't have jumping in your repertoire, this is just squats for you then, that's fine. Just squats, even if they're only quarter squats like this. If your knees hurt or whatever, let's see if we can make this structure up where you can start to learn to be able to drop into these harder exercises. I'm sweating too, Natasha. So, keeping on jumping, sitting into that squat, drive, hips through. Hips through, hips through. I'm not after the biggest jump you've got, I'm after a soft landing and being able to drive hips through. And you start to learn how to get hamstrings to look after your knees on the way down. So pulling yourself down, drive through, pull yourself down, drive through. Because the knee has a lot more going on than you think. There we go, press ups. So if you've got a pair of dumbbells, you can use these, or you can just do them flat on the floor like we have been doing. Whole minute of your best press ups. Look at my lower back. Look how it's not doing this. My legs aren't sagging down. If you need to do these on your knees, see how it's the same movement. I've just lifted my knees up. Nothing changes. I'm just a little bit lighter as I try and drop thighs down. And I want you to really, if you've got the dumbbells, irradiate by gripping onto them tight, like really tight. Tense your bum if you can. Little rests when you need it. I'm very sweaty. Oh, got busy down a little bit. Oh, yes. And then flip it over into lying on your back. So yeah, I've done an aerobics class, a yoga class, a spin class. Keep pushing your elbows down, drop one foot and the other, one foot and the other. And you're trying to do a crunch while you drive elbows down into the floor. Keep doing a crunch, keep picking these legs up. Oh. And you have rest. You rest when you need it. So do a crunch, like hold this. Understand this position with the lower back on the floor, and we drive our elbows down, both feet up. Keep pushing fingertips down. Oh. Very sweaty. Keep this going as long as you can until you need to rest. There we go. Alright, back to these deadlifts. Whatever you've got, you can even rhyme this. I've taught this before just using a belt. You can pull the belt apart, drop your hips, 10 to bum stand up. Drop hips, 10 to bum stand up. Look at my back. Look at how it's a structure that stays set. I've taught my back, my abs, my core to look after my lower back. So when I do a deadlift like this, it's not like this. Can you see how if I did it like this, I would start to really work into these muscles here. And they might burn out because you're holding a load that might be more than this can take. Getting stretched out like that. But if you can tense your belly tight enough and get hips to go back, drive hips forwards. There we go. Into these jump squats. Sitting into your squat and get feet to leave the floor just for a second. A little rest when you need it. I expect your legs to already be tired. If you get 3 reps in and you need to rest, that's your deal. That's what we're working with. We're trying to get all the way to our biggest effort. Driving hips through, driving hips through. And your footprint is important. If your footprint collapses, something up the chain has also collapsed. So if you sit and you go knees together like this, that foot's collapsed, or your hips have pulled in, or something has happened to make your knees do this. Let's see if we can fight that. Keep your bum tense and drive without that knee valgus. And it involves using your glutes into press-ups. So, your press-ups are your press-ups. I like using parallettes or dumbbells, because I've got something to irradiate against. I've got something to squeeze, and I can feel what's going on. And that is the difference. You get a huge jump in productivity when you understand how to irradiate against the exercise you're doing. When you can really squeeze every muscle that's involved, then you start to be able to train those muscles to be able to be better. Compared to if we just do like a kind of a floppy little bit of a press up like this, where I rest after every rep. That isn't it. Even if you're doing them on your knees, you can still squeeze, tense your bum, tense your belly, and try to irradiate into these exercises. And then flip it over, lie down on your back. Do a crunch, elbows push down, both feet up, drop one leg and the other, one leg and the other. If your hip flexors are literally going to snap off, if you've got something going on here, just change it. You could change that. You could change it to going a little crunch like this. It's not my favourite of the ab exercises, but if it can teach you to use this, then that's a good thing. Because that's all I'm after. I'm after control. I'm after you understanding why you're doing the exercise you're doing and what it does for you, so you can feel it and understand it and improve it consistently through time. So this class is progressive. You progress with the movements that you do. Whether you choose the easier option and then you progress to a better option, that's awesome. Okay, back up, or back into these deadlifts. So, tear apart this handle. You're pulling this handle apart. Drop your hips, tense your bum. Drop your hips, tense your bum. And it's this pulling myself down, so you can see it. As I pull my hamstrings down, and then I pull back up. Pull my hamstring down, and I drive my hips forwards into my wrists. I'm actually even pulling my forearms back against my body at the top. And I'm trying to tense my bum. So this weight is light, 12 kilograms. It's not even the weight of an empty bar. So it's light, but I can still get a good feedback out of this. My 1 rep max is 180 kilograms. I could lift 180 kilograms today off the floor. This is 12 kilograms, but I'm doing it consistently, and I'm tuning in to every bit of this exercise. What round we're on? We're into these jump squats last minute. Last minute now. So, sitting down, drive hips through, sit down, drive hips through. Oh, this is quite a good one to finish on, because you can hold yourself to the biggest effort that you've got. Biggest effort you can manage. Sorry. Go. So you keep going and keep going until you need to rest, and then you can have a little rest and reset and go again. And I'm trying not to let any free fall at the bottom, so I don't just collapse down and hang at the bottom and then fire back out of it. I control my way down and drive up. Control my way down and drive up. There we go. We did it. We did it. We've still got a bit of time left, which means I must have talked quick for a change. Oh, well done everyone. I'm very sweaty. So, I want you to have a think about your hamstrings in the deadlift and the squat. So if you stand with your back against the wall, bend your knees a little bit, I want you to curl one foot up and drive it back against the wall, like you're trying to lift the wall with your heel, and feel this hamstring turn on. You can even, so it's like this, look, if I go like this, imagine there's a wall behind me, I'm picking this heel up against the wall, and I can feel this hamstring contract. It's really easy to not let that do the stability for your knees when you squat, so you can just drop, and this contracts as you drop, and you've just dropped without any thought to that hamstring looking after this hinge, because it's part of the deal. And now these muscles, this bit here is all stretched out, and you're just hanging on this squat. And then you've got to use your thighs to push up. And if you go like this, look where I'm leaning forward, it's all thighs as I come up. If I only have a squat like that, that knee might take a load more load on the front edge of its hinge. So around the kneecap here, might end up working overly hard. So, getting your hamstrings to help as you sit is the thing, I think, that we can use to help you make those knees perform better. But get this, it can't only be that, because you've got a foot, you've got an ankle, then you've got the knee that we've already talked about, and then you've got a hip, and then you've got a lower back, and then you've got an upper back. And that, especially if you're holding a load here in front of you, if you're doing a goblet squat, then that knee's going to take a load of load if your hamstrings aren't doing the thing. But then we could talk about the ankle. The ankle is first point of contact. Your toes are first point of contact, really. They're the biggest part of it. But as we do this class more, and if you come to yoga, come to all of my classes, I keep tying all of this stuff in, the way that you can understand the structure of your body and how we move it around in exercises. And we'll work it out. And remember that any exercise that we do, still talking, any exercise that we do is made up, and that's okay. It's good. The good one's stuck. So squatting, it's a staple of exercise, but don't get caught up in it. That if it hurts you to squat, don't think you need to squat today, because you don't. It might be a good thing to learn to squat, but it's never really essential. Not in the way that we imagine a squat, especially if you've got someone who like holds you to getting those hips to sit low. If you don't quite have it, you don't quite have it. And then we also, because I'm still got a bit of time, let's talk further about how your foot is on the floor. So when we talk about a squat, I'm good at squatting. I can squat reasonably heavy, and I can keep my feet flat, and I can pull myself down and pick myself up, and I'm in control of all of this. If anyone in the gym squats like this and their heels pop up, it's the end of the world. You get like, no, don't squat like that. But this is a movement that's key. This is something that we do. If I was going to clean these weights up now, I might drop down and sit on my heels with my heels up off the floor and grab hold of them, and then stand up. And I'm not doing anything wrong by that. So I want to break down these barriers to movement and start showing you how you can change the exercises that are staples in the gym to make them suit you and how you move around in real life. And then you start noticing how you move around in real life, and then we can fix it up. It's exciting for me, and that's why I do this job, because I love it. All right, that'll do for me. I'm back tomorrow with calisthenics skills. It's at a new earlier time. It's at around lunchtime. I forget what time. I'm really bad at timing, but we'll work it out. Just check it out. Come and see, come and hang out. Learn how to do some hand balances, some pistol squats, some cool stuff, maybe even some pull-ups. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.